Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today we are going to talk about all of my favorite books that I read in 2024. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to be so honest, I struggled with pulling my favorite top 10 for this year. I had a 3.4 average rating on Goodreads, which for me is not the best. I did not like a lot of the things that I read this year. So, with that being said, we're going to kind of talk through. I don't really have like a standout, oh my gosh, this is the best book I've ever read of all time forever, like in this stack, which kind of bums me out, but we're going to talk through ones that I really, really loved, really enjoyed, really treasured, and will forever have a place here on my shelves. So let's get into it. Let's start with one of the first books I actually read this year and one of my favorite memoirs I think I've ever read. This, of course, is such a famous book by Jennette McCurdy. This is I'm Glad My Mom Died. This is, for those of you guys that haven't heard or read it, essentially Jennette McCurdy was on a lot of Nickelodeon shows back in the day when I was growing up watching them. She was a little bit young for me, so I watched a little bit of iCarly. Like, I never really watched Sam and Cat or any of the other shows that she ever was on. But yeah, she was definitely a face that I recognized, that I knew, and really never knew much about her. The funny thing is she actually grew up like 10 minutes from where I lived when I was in high school, so she actually lives incredibly close to me. So it was actually kind of funny listening to her talk about things from her childhood because I knew exactly where she was talking about, which was kind of funny. So yeah, beyond that, I really found this book very shocking, hard to read, very interesting, and yeah, it's just a very well written memoir. I do wish there's parts near the end of the book that I wish she would have gone more in detail on. Essentially, when she grows up, she moves out, she has her own space, she has her own relationships. I wish she would have kind of circled back and kind of closed the loop on why she or how she kind of came to the realization that she was actually glad that her mom wasn't doing well, and kind of when she had these kind of epiphanies of like the kind of relationship and toxic relationship that her mom had, because I feel like in a weird way she kind of glossed over it. So yeah, overall I thought this was really good, really well done, and yeah, definitely a solid memoir if you're interested. Okay, next, let's talk about a couple thrillers. So this was the year, I didn't read a bunch. If you guys don't know, I maybe read 1 to 2 thrillers a year, and these were my two that I was like into and obsessed with. I do think I want to start getting more into thrillers. Who is she? We don't know. But overall, I really enjoyed both of these. They both had really good plot twists. They both had things that I didn't see coming, things that I did see coming. So I gave both of these about 4 stars each. Again, really enjoyed them. This one I definitely saw the plot twist coming a little bit earlier on than I wish I had, but it was still so good. This, of course, is The Silent Patient. This is about a woman who essentially is framed for killing her husband and then goes completely silent, and then her psychotherapist, is that who he is? Psychotherapist basically comes in and tries to find out what happened, get her to talk, figure out what's going on. I really enjoyed this. This one was a really good one, and I definitely want to read more by this author, 100%. Then let's talk about this one. This was a YA release that was just really interesting. I'll be honest, it's a little bit slow, but the last 100 pages just got me. This is That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. This, I think, is a debut release for her, which is just well done. The plot twist of this I did not see coming. I actually read this for my book club and we all really enjoyed it and thought it was a really great book. And yeah, overall, thought it was good, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I can't say more than this, but essentially this is about a girl who wakes up on the side of the road. She doesn't know who she is, where she's from, and a man comes to the police station and says that he's her daughter. So, and the story kind of unfolds from there. So yeah, really interesting, really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. And yeah, overall, really, really solid thriller. Sorry, I'm throwing them on my bed. That's why there's the loud noise. Okay, now let's talk about a few graphic novels. This was a year I read a lot of really, really good graphic novels, starting with the Wingborn saga, or Wingbearer saga, I should say. This is a series I want to reread every time a new one comes out because I feel like there's nuances with this that I forget every time I reread a series. And I just want to be better about refreshing my brain on a plot before the new book comes out because I feel like time goes so quickly that I forget major things that happen in the series before when I read them. So for books that I'm really invested in, I want to do a quick refresh, reread before the new series comes out or the new book in the series so that I remember. And I did that with this and I'm so glad that I did. So this is essentially about a girl named Zulu who is trying to figure out what's happening to her family. She basically is part of a community where birds are sentient, so to speak, and something's happening with the birds. So she essentially goes down to Earth and tries to figure out what happened. She teams up with a motley group of people, and chaos ensues from there. It's so good. I really, really enjoyed it. They did, I will say, change the art. Whoever did the art from the first book to the second book, I think the art style of the first one a little tiny bit better, so I was a little bummed with that with this one. Regardless, the books are still beautiful. They're very well done, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I really hope this series continues. I really enjoy it. It's actually by Marjorie Liu, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, has written... What else does she write? The Night Eaters. Oh yeah, and Monstrous. That's what she's known for. So yeah, so she also writes adult graphic novels too as well. So she's very well known in the graphic novel space. I just really have been enjoying these quite a bit, and yeah, I was glad I got to pick them up. And that a new one came out in the series, which is always the best. Next, let's talk about a standalone one that I was really happy to read. This is Lost in Taiwan by Mark Creeley. I think this is a middle grade version. It's just cute. Like, I can't even explain it in that. I love just finding cute pocket stories of books within series, and I just think they're so good, and this was so cute. This is basically about a boy who goes to live with his brother in Taiwan. He gets lost in the city, he meets a girl, they have adventures, and it's just really cute overall. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so fun and refreshing and adorable, and yeah, I just liked it. Little slice of life, and it was really cute, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. So yeah, if you're interested for a cute little slice of life story, this is definitely a good one. Okay, before we go into more of the fantasy that I loved, the fantasy that I loved for this year, let's talk about one last little duology that I loved. This is The Garlic and the Vampire and The Garlic and the Witch by Brie Paulson. I will read everything that she comes out with. I just think she's so talented. It's so cute. This is basically about a little garlic clove that goes on adventures. Like, need I say any more? She's friends with a witch, and then she becomes friends with a vampire, and just her little stories are so cute and adorable, and I love them so much. She's very, like, she kind of reminds me of Rabbit from Winnie and the Pooh. Like, everything is a panic type of situation, and I think it's adorable, but she's also very brave and cute, and I just love it so much, and the art is adorable. So yeah, again, if you want to check out a new graphic novel author, I would highly recommend Brie Paulson and the Garlic series. Okay, now let's talk about some fantasy that I was really excited to read this year. These were, I would say, well, I guess technically this one, we'll get to those because these are kind of my last two of the series. So, okay, let's talk about these. First, let's talk about The Dollmakers. This one was kind of a mid-year surprise for me. I was going through my Goodreads and just trying to find new books that were coming out this year that I just hadn't heard anything about, and just books that were interesting, and this one definitely caught my eye. This is The Dollmakers by Lynn Buchanan. I was very surprised by the concept, the art that's in this book. It's just something unlike anything I've ever read before. Basically, this is a world in which dolls are somewhat sentient and able to kind of help and fight a war against creatures that are essentially trying to destroy this world. It's so interesting. I hated the main character, if I'm being so honest. She's such a pain in the butt. Like, she's one of those really unlikable main characters, and I just did not enjoy reading from her because she's so cocky and so arrogant and just frustrating to read, but she does get better towards the end, which is great. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this. There were certain things in the plot that I did find a little lacking that I hope they continue on in the series. I don't know if this is going to be a standalone or not. I hope that does continue in a series because I would read more from her. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this. I thought it was really interesting, and I'm glad I picked it up. It was one of those that I bought and then actually read as soon as I got it. So yay for me. Okay, next fantasy one that is known and loved on the book community. This is, of course, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I was hoping to also read Bookshops and Bone Dust before the end of the year. That did not happen, but I will definitely be getting to it next year. I will read anything that this man writes. The story is just exactly what it's always pitched as, a cozy fantasy. It's very like you stepped into the world and like the day-to-day life of people playing like World of Warcraft is just the vibe that I get. And I used to enjoy playing that game with my cousin and my brother back in the day, and I just think it's so cute. Like, the characters are so memorable and adorable, and it's just exactly a little slice of life, which I just love so much. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this. The characters are adorable. The name, oh my gosh, there's a little rabbit creature in here that I think it's Thimble. the little mouse creature that bakes all of the goods. Oh, what is the name of him? I think it's Thimble. I'm like 95% sure. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Thimble that's in this book. He's the little baker, and he's just so cute, and I loved it so much. So yeah, I'm really excited to read Bookshops and Bone Dust and anything else that this author writes. I just think he's incredible, and I was obsessed with this one. Okay, last fantasy, sort of, for this stack is Once There Was by Kiyoshi Monsef. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but this is pitched as a middle grade. To me, it reads a little bit older, but this is essentially a girl whose father is a vet, and then she comes to find out in the earlier parts of the book that he's a vet for mythical creatures, which, oh, I just love that concept so much. It gives me like Spiderwick Chronicles meets the Chronicles of Narnia, like just that world beyond your imagination that like you take one step, you turn your head, and you're able to see all these creatures that no one else can see or knows about, or I loved it. So yeah, this one was so good. I enjoyed this so much. There's just such memorable creatures in this. The characters were dynamic. The girl in it was so wonderful. I want to continue in the series, and I think the second one does actually come out next year, so I'm really excited for that because I will definitely keep continuing in this series. But yeah, overall, just a griffin, and just the creatures that she comes out with were just so interesting and so dynamic, and I loved it so much. So yeah, overall, I really, really liked this one as well. Okay, and the last two for the year, I don't, like I said, have like a top favorite and most amazing book of all time for this year. Unfortunately, these were just ones that really stood out to me, ones that were memorable, ones that I'll come back to, especially if the book series continue. I want to come back to these worlds and relive them and sink back into them. So yeah, along with that, another duology I need to finish next year. This is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I am obsessed with these covers. These are the UK covers that I got from Waterstone. I just think they're so pretty. And yeah, this one, I did not know what to expect with this. I knew it was about letters. I thought this was a World War II kind of retelling, which it kind of is, but it's also about gods, and it's so interesting. I was not prepared for what this book actually entailed, but overall, this is essentially about a boy and a girl who become sort of like enemies to lovers. It's Iris and Rowan. Or Roman, I guess. And they end up exchanging magical letters through their typewriters that their grandmas were friends with. Their grandmas owned magical typewriters that essentially made their way to Iris and Kit, and to Iris and Roman. I can't talk right now. Iris and Roman. And through those magical typewriters, they're able to communicate and write beautiful letters back and forth and become friends. And while in the real world, they're enemies to lovers at a newspaper article. And it's just like, it was so good. It was so unexpected from what I was thinking that it was going to be, but the romance, the slow burn of it all just had me on the edge of my seat. I really want to see what happens in the second book. I thought this was so good. I'm so excited to see what happens in the next one. And yeah, very excited for this one. Okay, and the last one. I've talked about this in so many videos lately, so if it gets repetitive, I apologize, but this was my most standout read, I think, of 2024. This is The One by John Marrs. I've had this on my bookshelves for years, and I keep wanting to read it, and I kept wanting to pick it up, and I'm so, so, so glad I finally did. This is essentially about a world in which there's a new system that gets created called Match Your DNA, and essentially you send in your DNA sample, and through the system that's been created, you're able to find your perfect soulmate through this system. And essentially it follows multiple different characters within this world and how that kind of system and how that cultural shift affects their lives and what comes from it. There's multiple different types of relationships, multiple different types of dynamics. I just thought it was so interesting. I never knew what to expect. The twists and turns were incredible. The plot twists were amazing. The relationships were so cute and wonderful and heartbreaking and scary and crazy, and I just really enjoyed this, and I want to read so much more by John Marrs. He's become very quickly one of my new favorite authors that I definitely want to read more from. So yeah, overall, I would definitely say The One, I think, is safe to say was #1 of my book reads for 2024. So on that note, we will end it there. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite thing was that you read in 2024. I'm so excited to look forward to the new year. I've got so many videos coming for you guys. of content for the new year, plans, reading plans, goals, things that I want to get to, books that we want to read, releases that I'm excited for. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to see more of my face, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!